Your president is watching. America is watching. But more important, Godfather is watching. Make no mistake, there will be no fuck-ups. Marines around this world would give they left nuts to be where you are. Anybody not want to go? Marines, kill on 3. 1, 2, 3, kill!
You immediately go to the worst case scenario, right? And the worst case scenario is if you commit a crime and the government's gonna have some kind of a punishment for you, and the punishment is going to prison, the prison doesn't scare you. So you got life penalty, which is death penalty. Hey, if you do this, we'll kill you. Let's take that part aside. You got imprisonment. What punishment could there be for you to not even think about committing that crime because you don't want to face the punishment? Is there any punishment that would have prevented Sammy the Bull from committing the crime?
No.
So it's not the punishment that you're seeing.
And I wouldn't have got, if I would have killed the guy on the phone, I wouldn't have got 2 years. I would have got life.
Life.
And right. I understood that.
But what I'm asking you is there any kind of punishment to change, to say, for the rest of your life, you can't do X, Y, Z, or we're going to do this? Where does it hurt to hurt the criminal, where the criminal says, that pain, I'm not willing to put up with?
Well, why wouldn't I take that's a good point. It's a good point. I'll give you that. It's a good point. But take my point. How about these fucking people who just broke fucking laws against Trump and broke every law in the fucking book? They're not using the RICO law against them. They used it against us, the Italians, the black, the Hispanic. Why don't they use it over here? If Comey, he's the head of the FBI, somebody in the Justice Department, and somebody in this CIA and somebody in this organization, they're all hooking up and they all broke the law. Let's assume that's happening and that's true. Why don't they use the RICO law on them? That they can't win. They made the RICO. So the fucking RICO law is made for me and blacks and Hispanic and people that you could put in prison. You want the people to look at us while you break the law. We're the crook. Worry about Sammy. Yeah, I robbed 100,000 while you guys are robbing millions. Listen, I understand the government better than anybody. You know why? Because they're all different families to me. The Democratic Party is the Gambino family. The Republican Party is the Genovese family. The fucking moderates is the Colombo family. The fucking media is this family. Hollywood is this family. They're all different families. Everybody's got a motive. Everything. Look at the whole fucking picture. It's all greed. It's all about money. The whole country. So if you look, everybody's doing what I did. Everybody. Not everybody. There's legitimate people who are caught in the mix of this. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about these congressmen and governors and people. They're caught all the time, left and right. What do they get? A kick in the ass, a boot on the slap on the wrist? Why is all these other people, that law, it's got to be so good and so bad? I told you in the beginning, you want to stop a lot of crimes? Give opportunities. We robbed as a mob, you guys are robbing. You're robbing too much. We took a sliver of the pie so other people could eat. Human beings could eat. You're taking everything. A fucking middle-class person can't eat. They can't go to a movie sometime. They can't spend nothing because they're broke. They're broke because of reasons. Your reasons. If you want to hit me with 3,000 years, okay? But let me sit next to whoever. James Comey. Hey, bro, how many years did you get? 40. Oh, that's cool. I got 25. Or I got 50. Or I got life. Where is his seat? Where is he in prison? In what cell? I could tell you all the black and Hispanic and every fucking body else like me, they're in prison. Now, I'm not saying if you break the law, there's no consequence. Make an equal, fair system. The whole country, to me, I look at the country, I don't even know what planet I'm on. I got out of prison, I seen phones, I don't know even how to use a fucking, till now. I have a hard time with the phone. I look at computers, I don't know what planet I'm on. You almost eliminated my existence. When I got out, you got to talk to the television. Go to Netflix. If you don't do that, nothing happens. Before, when I used to talk to a television, they thought I was crazy. Now, if you don't talk to the television, you're crazy. So look at the system. Don't look at me as an individual. I got away with X. So did everybody. So did this whole country built on it. Look at universities. They got people hating conservatives. Now, I was a liberal most of my fucking life. Sometimes I'm a moderate. Sometimes I think the conservatives are right. I'm on that side. Sometimes I think the liberals are right. I'm on that side. I'll give you another example. I'm in the fucking gym. I go to the gym, and there's a whirlpool. I'm sitting in there for my fucking raggedy-ass bones, and I'm getting a whirlpool, and there's a woman in there, and a guy. He's sitting up on top with his feet in the fucking thing, and she's in there up to her neck. And they're talking about letting illegal aliens in. We should give them licenses, and we should give them cars, and we should give them Social Security, and we should give them food stamps. We should give them this and this. And I'm listening to the whole thing. 10, 12, 15 minutes goes by. I'm toasted. I'm ready to get out. I got to open my mouth. That's just me. I said, do you people mind if I injected myself into your conversation for 2 or 3 minutes because I'm going to get out? No, go ahead. I said, you're really, really good people, both of you. Really, really good people. You're so interested in helping people. I like that. You're really good people. The only thing is that you're racist, the both of you. Oh, wait a minute. We're not racist. Yes, you are. What do you mean? We didn't say anything about black people. I don't give a fuck.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Cold War Radio live from studio number 1 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in the broadcast bunker, the CWR Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208. The voicemail for those of you listening to podcast are 412-567-1460. You can leave a message and we'll play it here on the program. Please go to SteelCityResistance.com, become a Cold War Radio patron. Catch the research room, tons of material in there. The video page with the videos to the audio clips we play. If you'd like to write to the program, you can do that too. Please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 104-33370, Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that clip I played on the intro, it's amazing how smart our country is. Sammy the Bull Gravano, that's an extract from a 2-hour-long interview by Patrick Bet David of Valuetainment. You can catch it on YouTube. I figured since they have about 4 million views, I ought to give it the proper attribution. So Patrick Bet David, thank you, great job. Sammy the Bull Gravano on Valuetainment on YouTube. Let's look to the northern neck of Virginia and welcome Jack to the program. Hello, Jack.
Hey, Hutch. Hey, everyone tuned in and all the folks in the Spreaker chat room. Yeah, I love that intro because we can discuss it. It's like the government went out to destroy La Cosa Nostra, right? Boom, boom, boom. And what they basically done is taken over what that mob was doing.
I mean, you see it everywhere. Casinos, you see,
all the lottery. The entire thing.
There'll be government prostitutes soon. I mean, you got payday loans going on. What do you think that is? The whole deal, man. It's something else. But he's spot on. And how many years have you heard me mentioning RICO? I've been mentioning RICO since I've been on the radio. These people are a crime organization. It's provable.
And they do the FISA thing, which is the secret court supposedly against terrorism and overseas thing, and we've just seen that exposed as being
Sure.
and a venue that
political
our
weapon.
top law enforcement agency uses to go after its enemies.
That's true. That's true. We have a very exciting show. What a week, Jack. What a week in history. But first, I have to convey the not so good news. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to CPAC this year as a whole group. In other words, we don't have the resources to move an entire station with the equipment that we need and everything else for 4 people. We just don't have the resources. I appreciate everybody that did donate, and you can rest assured that it's not going to be wasted. It's in the bank. That being said, I know some of you donated substantial amounts thinking that we were going to CPAC, and I don't want to get on anybody's bad side. I never came into this for money, ever. I did podcasts for 10 years without making a nickel. But I want you to rest assured that if you have a problem, don't keep it to yourself. Contact me, and we'll figure something out. We'll do whatever we got to do to keep everybody happy. That being said, if I don't hear anything of that nature shortly, I have already offered for Mona and Stacy to go and record interviews at CPAC on Cold War Radio. And once I hear their decisions on that, then I'll let everybody know what's going on, and the rest will be any donations that we take from now until August are going to be for the Republican National Convention. I think that we can probably swing that with the amount of time that we have. And I'm just going to take this as a lesson learned. I should have started earlier, or I should have started later. I'm not sure which. But next time we'll think about it a little bit more. We kind of went into it a little half-cocked. I thought some things were going to happen that didn't. But we're okay, and I just hope it doesn't upset anybody too much. I apologize. I mean, it's something that I can't wait up until the last minute. I got to have a little certainty. It's just the military in me, I guess. I don't know, Jack, but we had to make a call. It was a hard one to make, but I think it's the best one going forward.
Yeah, and that's honesty in action right there. You know, just sit there and what you would hear on some other shows or whatever, they'd be doubling down on, hey, you know, with the pitch, and it's like, you know, if the Lord right now doesn't want CWR there, then
right.
You know, there's always next year, right?
And I will say, I've been to both events, and the convention is much more worthy when it comes to the people that are going to be there. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a cross section of the whole Congress there, so it'll be that'll be good. And
where are they holding the
South Carolina?
GOP?
South Carolina. I think it's Charleston, but I could be wrong. But that's going to be a really good deal because Ward's son lives there, so Ward's free.
Nice.
That is nice. But anyway, so there's that. I hope I didn't upset anybody. I really didn't try to do that. I'm not a shyster. I'm not out here trying to get anybody, believe me, like some other people do. But I'm not like that. That's just the way it went. And I want to thank Tom, Leslie, Marlene, Will, and Harry for donating anyway. God bless you guys, man. It's all right. It's in the bank, like I said. And I'll release a statement. I'm waiting for a couple things, you know, transfers take a couple days and things like that. And I don't want to say anything until I see the fazools on the table, if you know what I mean. Then I'll announce where we are and everything like that. So there it is. Let's start with the news of the week, and there is a lot of it. First off, the Iowa Democrats released 100% of caucus vote totals, showing Buttigieg ahead amid calls for recanvass. Now, I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe the story that's being told right now, you weren't paying attention 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. 4.
2016, right?
This is a setup. This is anybody who thinks that Iowans can't. How many people live in Iowa? About 12. You know, I think it's 100-some thousand votes or so. You know, this is This is something that's ridiculous. And if you believe it, look into it a little bit. Look at some of the reports. There are people.
If you watched the Monday night coverage on any of the major channels, they have all their election crew there. This is the first boom, boom, boom Democrat night, and there was nothing but crickets all night long. No information, nothing, and people are like, "What the hell is going on in Iowa?"
And if you ever look at the real totals, and they'll probably never come out, but probably Biden got 7%, Sanders ran away with it, and that's all you need to know. If you look at the outcome, it's so crystal clear. These people are so smart, they're stupid. What did Biden need to stay in the race? Do you know? To get any delegates. He needed 15% viability numbers. That's what they call them in Iowa. So at the end of the day, Mayor Pete, who's tight with the guy that developed the app, by the way, that they're blaming, Mayor Pete comes out ahead. The gay guy comes out ahead in Iowa. In Iowa. The communist guy is underneath Buttigieg by about less than 1%. And old Joe comes in at 15.1% or something like that.
Who the mainstream media has been pushing since day one.
Yeah.
They've been pushing him. Biden's the guy. Don't matter. Oh, dude, his son got the job in Ukraine. Debunked. That's already been by nothing.
Everything going forward is going forward to produce a Bloomberg Clinton ticket. Mark my words.
They're eating their own, right? They're all calling for the head of the DNC, Perez. They're saying you need to go, and he's like, "Wait a minute, no, this is an Iowa State guy that needs to do it. I just asked him to double check their math here after it took them 4 days to get the results."
They're just lucky. They're just lucky that Bernie Sanders is a pussy. Just think if he was somebody like Trump.
I've always thought that Bernie Sanders, the DNC allowing him to run on the Democratic ticket while he's listed as independent, right?
Right.
As a senator, that is all about not dividing the vote between a Democrat and an independent against the GOP.
And the best part is that we reported
they
on.
will never let him have the Democratic nomination. You see what I'm saying?
We reported on the last show that 87% of independents are Trump supporters now. So we go with the black vote and that alone, it's already over. Let's go to Ken and King George. Hi, Ken.
Well, okay. The other day I had to go to my election officer training because, Super Tuesday's coming up here in March, right?
Yeah.
And the registrar's office is looking at two bills that are coming up here in Virginia where, one, you don't have to have a photo ID anymore to vote in Virginia.
What the hell?
Two, they're looking at doing same day registration. Okay, and then
let's just
right
make an app. Just make an app and just vote on the phone and vote as many times as you want. It's ridiculous, man.
Well, and okay, so also early voting starts 45 days out from the election, and if you want to early vote, you have to fill out paperwork. Now, the last 3 elections, I've had to do basically early vote because I don't work in the precinct that I don't work the precinct that I live in.
Gotcha.
So I can't vote that day on Tuesday.
Well, then how can you be at the polls?
Excuse. Well, there's an excuse, right? I'm working the poll in another precinct.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Gotcha. Yep.
Well, now they're looking to push legislation that you don't need an excuse to early vote in Virginia.
All I can say, Ken, is you guys, I don't know the demographics of Virginia as far as the numbers and things like that, but I know you've had Republican governors and legislators in the past. I just hope that every single Republican and sane Democrat, there got to be Democrats in Virginia that like guns. There have to be. You know,
I'm hoping so too.
So that's the key. That's the key. You got to take this back. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Virginia. It seems like
it's
every
a tough
day.
Tough time in this Commonwealth.
You ain't lying, man.
That's what Ken's talking about. This is the complete control of Virginia's legislature, and the governor is all Democrat now. And you see what they're trying to pull right before the election to make sure that they can, step on the scales.
Well, hopefully Brad Scales is on top of it. He can use, and I'm sure he will, use Virginia on a national scale to show you what happens. Did you hear the latest bill that passed? You have to destroy any 30-round magazines you have. You have to destroy them.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that.
Anybody? I'm selling shovels. If anybody, unbelievable. I mean, it's draconian. It's absolutely nuts. It's almost as bad as
and this
as
is
New
right
York.
after what? That large 20+ thousand people armed with no incident saying, "Hey, don't do this," and they're going to do it anyways.
It's nuts. There's no question.
Yes,
What else is going on, Ken?
I know. I'm enjoying my new smoker / grill. Oklahoma Joe's, baby. You got to buy one.
There you go. Was that charcoal?
This thing's part gas, part charcoal, part
pellets.
It's got a firebox. Yeah, the whole shooting match.
Sort of like Traeger with the pellets, with the different flavored pellets, steel smoking.
Oh no. See, the people that do the pellet smoker thing, they're lazy.
I knew that was coming. As long as you got a good thermometer, a good electronic thermometer, that's the key.
Oh yeah,
and patience, right?
Yeah, cook the temperature, not time.
Yep. And I just did a bacon wrapped pork tenderloin. The thing came out pretty good.
I'll tell you what you got to do, and I got to let you go after this, but I'll tell you what something that you ought to try is smoke some of your own bacon. That is the most delicious, rewarding food that I've ever smoked. And I've smoked a lot of stuff, but bacon just has that. When you pull out a hand-wrapped pound of bacon out of your freezer or out of your refrigerator for breakfast or whatever, it's just it makes you proud, if you know what I mean. And it's better than store-bought.
Well, the funny thing is, there was like 4 pieces of bacon left over. I threw that in the smoker too, and it's definitely got a different flavor to it.
Well, that's double smoked. If it was already bacon.
America's not ready for the double smoked bacon.
Where's Wardy at, man?
Yeah, right. All right, Ken. Thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate
wrapped
it.
Bacon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But if anybody gets a chance, check out what do they call them guys? The barbecue pit boys.
Yeah, the pit boys.
They do this thing. It's pork belly bites.
Yeah. There you go.
Look up YouTube pork belly bites, barbecue or pork. Yeah, pork belly bites by the barbecue pit boys, and oh my God, they are delicious. And if you throw them in some beans or some, chili, whatever, oh my God, they're delicious.
Good stuff. All right, Ken. Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling. Let's go to Richmond and welcome Regina to the show. Hi, Regina.
Hey, Regina.
Hello, how's y'all doing?
Doing good. What's on your mind? Got about 5 minutes.
Okay,
And
real
got
quick.
got a guest coming on.
The Virginia the Defense League, they got a YouTube video and they explain all the steps that they're going to take and all the steps that the bills are going to take. Because
Okay.
the guy is saying that the bills are not exactly passed. He said there's a lot of more steps involved in that. And he says they're going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court in Richmond. And after that, they got lawyers on the back end. In case they lose, they're going to have lawyers involved. So it's going to be a lot of lawsuits.
Well, I mean that's the thing I don't understand about these idiots in state governments and city governments. You know it's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court. I mean, it has to, unless the people back down. And the only downside would be if Roberts decided not to take it, and I'm not sure how that works.
They talk about in Richmond.
Right, but Richmond, how's the court system in Richmond? Is it
going to start there, but it's going to keep going up. It's going to end up federally, right? And
you would unless Richmond strikes it down and the government doesn't fight.
And it's ground zero because the NRA's headquarters is in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So you know this is going to be a battle all the way to.
As well, it should be. I mean, it shouldn't even be a battle. You know, I rack this up to education. You know, a lot of people don't even consider the fact of all the good that the Second Amendment has done for our country. We're one of the only countries that's never been invaded. Think about that. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Because
that's why the Virginia defense guy is doing YouTube videos now, because he says that apparently a lot of new people that's coming up in the organization, they don't know civics of Richmond. Richmond and Virginia government. So he went on there with a video to try to explain it so people can get an idea of what exactly is going on.
I think this is going to crash and burn on Virginia Democrats. I do. Unless there's a huge amount of Democrats that are there now that weren't there before.
And believe it or not, I got I kind of sort of picked up on something that a lot of people didn't pick up. President Trump, he kind of sort of hinted at it. He didn't go into details. Just said that something about Virginia and ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Well.
And also he has judges on hand. So I don't know if any judges are coming to the state of Virginia or not, or being picked for the state of Virginia. But if any judges are being picked for the state of Virginia, then that's going to be interesting.
It is.
He's got that.
And it's a no-brainer, too. I mean, this isn't even a court case that would last very long. It's so blatant.
The reason why it's gotten this far in this state, to be honest, is the actual spread of the swamp into Virginia. You've got Northern Virginia, which when I was growing up in Prince William County in the late 70s, going into the early 80s, that was as conservative as you can get. Right now, I mean, it's part of that spread. We had Terry McAuliffe, a carpetbagger, come down and become our governor for 4 years. That's how bad the influence of the federal government, the Democrats, those people, the swamp has infiltrated our state. It's time to fight back. You know, you got to wake up and vote. You can't sit home and think it's going to change unless you get out there and go to the polls and stop this.
So you keep an eye on it, Regina. We got you. I'm so glad that you're a listener and you're right there. We appreciate your insight and keeping us up to date with all this. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And I also found out that most of our delegates are idiots. They're all Democrats.
Of course they are. You got to give the Democrats one thing. They know how to stack the damn deck. And I just think we were asleep for too long. And I'm going to get in to some of this and some changes and things that are going on as we get into the program, Regina. But I have a guest coming on, so I'm going to have to let you go, and you're going to have to listen to the rest of the show. All right. Thank you, Regina.
Bye-bye.
Regina from Richmond, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite callers. She Gets it done, Jack. She gets it done. No question about it. I think I hit that button right, but we'll find out momentarily. We got a lot of things for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That you hear about this situation in the Democrat Party, which is true. There's no question that they're having some huge problems in the Democrat Party. But I would submit that we've got our own operation going on, our own civil war, if you will, even though it's not being reported at all, inside the Republican Party. And that's a good news story, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad news story. This is a good news story, and I'm going to go ahead and try this again. I'm not sure if I did this properly, but we will find out. So, yeah, we did it right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Barnette, author of Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America. Kathy is also currently running for U.S. Congress in the 4th District of Pennsylvania, where the show's not out of the 4th District, but it is out of Pennsylvania. Kathy Barnette is a conservative black mother and wife. She's a veteran, a former adjunct professor of corporate finance, a conference speaker, and a conservative political commentator. She served her country proudly for 10 years in the Armed Forces Reserves. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the Army Reserve, but it might not be, where she was accepted into OCS, Officer Candidate School, and her corporate career includes working with 2 major financial institutions and in corporate America. Kathy sat on the board of a pregnancy crisis center for 5 years. Welcome to Cold War Radio, Miss Kathy Barnette. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, it was the U.S. Army Reserve.
That's good. I retired after 33 years and 7 months in the Army Reserve myself.
Thank you for your service.
And thank you for yours. I also have my co-host out of the northern neck of Virginia, Jack. Hello, Jack.
Hey, welcome, Kathy. I'm looking forward to the interview, and thanks for serving.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on.
Okay, so we're going to talk about your book in a second, but let's go first to the 4th District in Pennsylvania, which the majority of that district, I believe, is Montgomery County.
It is.
That's adjacent to Philadelphia, the Bucks, right? And
yes, it is. And we have a little bit of Berks County. I have about 10,000 people up in Berks.
All right, so it's not a completely urban county by any means. There's a lot of farms in that area, a lot of probably suburbs. Why don't you talk to us about the district and your feelings going forward? Because man, we need you in there.
Yeah, listen, Montgomery County, the 4th Congressional District, it is the 2nd wealthiest county in the state of Pennsylvania out of 67, and that is out of 67 counties. So it's a very productive county. We have a lot of manufacturing that takes place here. And I'm very excited to be overwhelmingly, enthusiastically endorsed by the Republican Party. I'm the first black person to be endorsed by the Republican Party in Montgomery County. So I'm very excited to be able to represent such a wonderful county.
That's outstanding. Jack and I were talking before the program, and we wondered, were you getting unmitigated support from the PA GOP in that area? Are you getting support down there?
I am getting, I have such a wonderful team. It is truly amazing to see the people, the business elites, the various people that you would need to be on a campaign. Very excited about that. Very enthusiastic. I met with perhaps about 100, a little bit over 100 business owners here in the Montgomery County primarily. And I was once again enthusiastically received. I believe people understand the times in which we're living in. I think we saw a lot of that on display at the State of the Union earlier this week on Tuesday of, just the divide within this nation and the determination of this liberal, radical, socialist left party that we have that is very determined to redefine our country. And I earnestly believe people are excited about my campaign because they're excited I mean, it's kind of like, reminding us all of Donald Trump when he came on the scene. He was saying exactly what everyone was thinking. Whether you supported him initially or not, most of us on the Republican side recognized that he was saying a lot of the things we were thinking. And I think, once again, people are very excited for my candidacy because I'm very determined in preserving this nation for the next generation.
Well, I know I'm excited about it. That's for sure. I mean, that area, you're right. It's very, very affluent. I want to ask you a little bit about that, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jack. But speaking of the State of the Union address and the press conference that the president held the next day, and just things that are going along here, it seems to me, and I'm going to do a segment on this later on in the program, but it seems that we're almost done. We're not done yet, but we're almost done purging our own party, because we can never forget, and I just want to get your opinion. I've been a conservative radio talk show host for a while, and I got fooled for years. I mean, I could show you a Romney sign, a Romney Ryan sign, a McCain sign, a Bob Dole sign. We've been getting shortchanged for years, and I think we finally might be turning the corner with people like you stepping up and being ready to join Meadows and Jacobs and the guys in the House that are really spearheading the MAGA movement. Your opinion on that?
Yeah, you know what? My purpose of desiring to go to D.C. and putting my hat in this race is because I want to retire as many Democrats as I possibly can, specifically the very liberal ones. But it's almost difficult to distinguish between a moderate and an uber liberal Democrat because they all act like bobbleheads. They just go around bouncing their head up and down to whatever the Chuck Schumers, the Nadlers, and the Nancy Pelosi's tell them, and they all just kind of kowtow down to leadership. So it's very difficult. So my desire in going to D.C. is to retire as many as possible because I recognize that we're in such a phenomenal point in history. We have a man in our president who is, whether you like him or not, he has gotten things done. And one of the things I woke up with on Wednesday, the day after the State of the Union, the thought that I woke up with is that you can try to shout him down, you can rip up an official document right behind him, but two things you cannot deny, and that is, one, he is still your president, and two, you cannot deny facts. We're at an unprecedented economic boom, at least as far as I'm concerned. Within my lifetime, we just got 10 million people off of welfare. 7 million people just came off of food stamps. 60,000 manufacturing jobs left our country under the Obama and Bush administration. And now under Donald Trump, in less than 3 years, 12,000 of those jobs have come back, with thousands others are committing to bring those jobs back to this country. Today, the jobs report just came out. We were expecting 160,000 new jobs in the month of January. Instead, we got over 230,000 jobs. We're at an unprecedented time with an unprecedented president who has done more in 3 years than the past 3 presidents have done in 24 years. And I want to go to D.C. because, one, I want to retire as many Democrats as possible, but two, I want to get things done that will continue to improve the lives of every single American.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I mean, I've looked at who you're challenging, and this person, the Dean of Decency, I mean, supposedly that's her mantra to secure that seat in 2 years, because that region is so shocked about how the president deals with things. It's like, wait a minute, just like you said, the president is blunt, straightforward, and you may not like the way he says things, but the man gets the job done. And he's been doing it without help, right?
Listen, I mean, just think about all the things that he's done, all of the things that I just delineated a few moments ago about from an economic perspective. But look at the USMCA. Look at what we've done with China and the trade deal, which no one ever thought we would be able to do. When President Trump took office 3.5 years ago, Obama was telling him within months we could be contending with North Korea, getting ready to take out some part of our country. And now silence, radio silence from North Korea. Look at what he's been able to do with Europe and getting them to contribute to the defense of their own country. Look at the strong hand, the strong fist he's had against some very determined radicals over in the Middle East. And and so he's done so much for this country. And I tell people all the time, I get it. You don't like him, fine. I have never tried to convince people to like this president. The only thing I've ever tried to convince people to do is to recognize when someone is working in your favor and then have the common sense to get out of the way so they can continue to work in your favor. Don't be an obstacle when someone is specifically working in your favor, not just for the overall American community has he benefited all of us, but specifically when we look at some of these minority communities, the Black community specifically, he has come in and done what presidents before us over the past 56 years since Lyndon B. Johnson created the Great Society that caused so many Blacks to vote overwhelmingly Democrat. He has come in and within 3 years have touched every single issue the Black community has come before both the Republican and the Democrat Party asking for them to pay attention to. This man has come in and within 3 years, he has addressed prison reform with the First Step Act, now starting with the Second Step Act. He has brought opportunity zones, 9,000 jobs and investments have been pouring into some of the most unstable or destabilized communities among us with the opportunity zones. He has saved the historically Black colleges and universities, as he talked about at the State of the Union. Those particular universities and colleges went to Obama and begged Obama to forgive the crushing debt that was threatening their survival. Oh, Trump comes into office, they go to Trump, and Trump forgives that loan, single-handedly saving the historically Black colleges and universities. So I'm very excited for what this president has done. My desire is to continue with the winning theme. I'm all about this country, America first. I want to preserve it for the next generation.
And, you know, it kills me because you see the opposition in their never-ending attacks saying that the president is out there doing things for his own good, for his own well-being. And then you got to think, wait a minute, this guy is going through all this, and he's a volunteer. He's not even getting paid.
He's not even getting paid.
Right, he's doing it for free, and they're still complaining. Which
out of principle, and for instance, before he was elected, he was attacked by his own party, the GOP, started this movement to attack him. And then when all the candidates, he shoved them aside, they tossed over their research to Hillary Clinton. And then she just went further. And all of this, the witch hunt, all of that can be traced all the way back to the election season. And, I have no problem with the president gloating a little bit once the acquittal came.
No, not at all. And the thing is, Van Jones, President Obama's communist green job czar, who he doesn't shy away from the truth when it's in front of him. And he said, Democrats, you better wake up. This president is helping blacks on the street in real life, not with rhetoric and not with turkeys on Thanksgiving, in real life.
Yeah.
And you can see that out in the street. I'll give you an example.
And we can feel it. And the Black community can feel it, and we're seeing it in these polls. And it's one of the things that I talk about extensively throughout my book, Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, being Black.
I was going there next. Sorry.
In America.
I was going there next. I was going there next. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It was a perfect segue.
There you go.
It's what I've been talking about. throughout my book, and not just Black America, but all Americans. I mean, we're all on the same boat. If my side of the boat goes down, guess what? Your side of the boat, called America, is going to go down as well. And I think we've gotten so caught up in these false narratives, being manipulated by, I'm a the D's and the R's. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm a libertarian. No, I am a mom. I am a wife. I have 2 wonderful children. We're all trying to figure out about college. We're all trying to figure out about retirement. We're all trying to look at our health care and these various things. And whether you like this president or not, I could care less. The thing that I want Americans to get back to, and specifically the people in the Congressional 4th District, is to get back to is recognizing what is in our own best interest and begin to hold our elected officials accountable. Because whether you want him impeached or not, how did that move any of us out of one zip code and into a better zip code? How did that make sure those particular students who are, like the little black girl we saw at the State of the Union, Janiyah, out of Philadelphia, how does impeaching a president, whether you want him impeached or not, I could care less, but how does spending all of that time of the past 3 years, all of that money, hundreds of millions of dollars to impeach him, how does that move that little black girl out of a poor performing school and into a better performing school? It does nothing for us at the table. It may scratch an itch that we have, that we don't like this particular man. But at the end of the day, Americans need to get back to what is going to benefit me and my family around my kitchen table. And that is what I hope to be able to get people to begin to look up from the news pundits and, and all of these breaking news that's coming at us. It's like breaking news is like trying to drink water from a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
We can barely consume any of it, and it's just too much to digest. I think a little bit of that is by design, but we need to get back to the basics. And the basics is right here in my home, at my kitchen table, and what is going to help me and my family thrive, and what are we going to hand over to the next generation. That is what we need to get back to doing.
No, I agree with that. I think I'll give it to you in a second, Jack. I think one of the ways that we can do that, and I'm listening to you tonight, and I noticed that you didn't use the term. I think one of the things that hurts us more than anything else is a friend of mine runs a company called the Unhyphenated American. I think the whole African American, Italian American, all that, if we would stop using that, because basically that creates the Balkans of America. Everybody's in their little area, and we should just get away from that, in my opinion. And that's just something that I think it was put there by design, on purpose. None of this stuff is coincidental. But just one final comment I have before I want you to get a little bit more into your book is, Van Jones said that the president is helping people in real life. And the other day I looked up and I saw a FedEx driver. It was a black guy, about 25 years old maybe. And he's in this FedEx truck and he's delivering things. And I looked at him and he's got gang tattoos on his neck. And I'm thinking, son of a bitch, this guy, it's working. He's getting these people out of these poisonous situations. And now the guy's a FedEx driver and he can probably retire from there in 30 years.
Right.
That to me, that's a success story.
I've often said like you said, so many, very interesting points. But to your latter point, I think the best way to eradicate income inequality is by giving people jobs. And
Indeed.
That is exactly what this president has been doing. That is exactly what Van Jones notices, is that he is helping people in real life. Everyone is happier. A poll just came out last week saying overall Americans are happier. And yet every time we turn around, we have Democrats jeering and shouting, ripping up papers, and telling all of us we need to be mad and angry about things. This is one of the the best economies many of us have lived in our entire lifetime. And instead of being able to enjoy it, we're being told and criticized and kind of jeered into being angry all the time. I, for one, am tired of being angry. I refuse it. Life is good, and I want to enjoy it. I want to preserve it, and I want more of it. Going back to the unhyphenated aspect of it, at the end of the day, we are all human beings, right? And
Absolutely.
in addition to that, we are Americans, and I love that. You know, when I travel abroad and you notice and you recognize that another American is in the room, immediately we clap to one another. Immediately, even if we can't talk to one another, we do the head nod, like in recognition. I
Yeah.
see you, right? And I
Sure.
love that. But, you know, I grew up on, I understand the providential set of circumstances that has taken place for a little black girl like myself who grew up on a pig farm in southern Alabama to be standing here today and saying I'm running for Congress in an area that is predominantly white, and they support me enthusiastically because I earnestly believe they're looking beyond just the color of my skin.
Oh, I guarantee
and
you.
seeing that I'm an American like them, and I want the exact same things that anyone else wants. But being black, you know, and growing up beneath the bottom economic rung of life. We grew up in a house with no insulation, no running water, an outhouse in the backyard, and a well on the side. My grandmother, when she would ask me to help her in the garden, I thought she just wanted to spend quality time with me. I had no idea it was for our survival. But if we wanted greens, beans, peas, potatoes, we couldn't go to Giant and buy it. We had to go to our garden and grow it. And so I understand that aspect of life as well. But even growing up in southern Alabama, I recognize just like being a woman defines me to some extent. It's not the only thing about me, but it does define me in many ways. Being black also, it gives me perspective about the world around me. I see the world a particular way, not only because I'm a woman, but also because I'm black. And, it's not the only thing about me, but it is a significant part of me, just like being a female is a significant part of who I am, but it's not all that I am. And when you're talking to white liberals, the only thing they see are a bunch of boxes to check off. They see, oh, she's black. Okay, let's check that box. Oh, it's a female. Okay, let's check that box. Oh, she's suburban. Okay, let's check that box. That's all they see are the boxes, not recognizing that, yes, I'm black, but there's still so much more about me.
You're American, and there's nothing more. America does so much apologizing for how great this country is, how much we've gone through from the right. We shouldn't. We've gone through some very tough times, some very bad times, fought through it, and risen to this part. And now we have a president that has actually turned the tables on the status quo. You had our last president basically said, I don't know how he's promising we're going to do this. We're going to bring manufacturing jobs back. What does he have? A magic wand? No, he's a businessman.
He found the magic wand.
He's a businessman, and he knows how to do things. And he put his foot down, right, in trade deals with other countries and said, wait a minute, the way that we did it in the past, that's not the way it's going to be. You're going to play on a fair table here because we've got Americans here that need jobs, have been looking for opportunities for 30, 40 plus years, and it's time for payback. So you see this, and there's nothing more fulfilling or prideful than to be able to go out and work and provide for your family. Nobody likes to look to the government to give them something every month just to have them vote their way.
That's right. We're running out.
Some people do. Some people do want that. And the Democrats, what I'm noticing is that, they have perfected the art of destabilizing minority communities. And they have left the minority community broken and bruised. And what they're doing now, what you see with Elizabeth Warren and the Bernie Sanders and so many other socialist-minded Democrats, even Joe Biden in many regards, is that they're repackaging those failed policies that they've perfected in the minority community, and now they're offering it to the broader American community. Free health care, free education, guaranteed wages, guaranteed jobs, open borders, free. Everything is free. And what they're doing, and the results are going to be the same results we've seen in the black community that has destabilized the black community, and that is primarily a lowering of the bar of expectation. Instead of raising the bar of expectation, right, hard work wins the day. I mean, again, I come from less than nothing, and with some hard work and playing by a certain set of rules, I may not become Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates, but I can eke out a respectable life for myself.
Yeah, we don't need another Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates.
I don't have to reach.
We don't need either one of those. We need you in Congress, Kathy. That's what we need for sure.
I agree.
And I happen to love Southern Alabama, by the way, the home of the best boiled peanuts around. But I went to warrant officer's staff course down there in Fort Rucker.
Yeah.
How'd you feel when the Democrats all sat on their hands when the Brigadier General Tuskegee Airman was recognized after he was promoted by the president, by the way?
And I graduated from Tuskegee Institute High School, so I'm very familiar with the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. And again, they panned the camera over to the Black Caucus and as well as to the larger Democratic side of the House, and they all just sat there sneering. Just angry, mad. What are you mad about? Madeline Dean, she goes by Mad Dean. What are you mad about? Economic prosperity for everyone? Because this is the time in which we're living in, where everyone is feeling that. But what I noticed most of all is that now is the time for good people to stand up. So many of us quote Edmund Burke's quote that all that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's time for good people to re-engage, and that is the reason why I'm throwing my hat in the ring here. And I hope your listeners will go to Kathy Barnette for Congress.com, learn more about me, and donate. We know that money does not win elections. If it did, we will be saying Madam President Hillary Clinton. So money doesn't win elections, but if you don't have enough money, people won't even take you seriously.
That's true.
And I love this country. I represent all that is good about this country. And I want to walk that into the halls of Congress, and I want to get things done. But I need all Americans who feel the way that I do to contribute, to go to Kathy Barnette for Congress.com and to contribute.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's BARNETTE, Kathy Barnette for Congress.com. Do you have enough time to take a phone call or not? I know we're running late.
I do.
Okay, let's talk to Murray. Let's talk to Rico from Kentucky. Your question for the next representative of the 4th District of Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't really have a question. I just basically, I've noticed she's an outstanding human being. She's got optimism, and I would support her 100%. That's all I have to say for right now. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. It is such a shot of encouragement, because we know that Democrats do not play fair. And I love my family just like anyone else loved their family. The last 6 years, I have homeschooled my children. But coming from the pig farm in Southern Alabama, being the first in my family to go to college and finish college, spending 10 years in the military, I moved on to work in the financial industry, on to corporate America, an adjunct professor of corporate finance. And for the past 3.5 years, I spent a lot of my time on Fox and other areas debating ideas. I've just written my first book, Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America. And now I'm running for Congress. Again, I represent all that is good about this country if you're willing to put the work in. But I cannot do this by myself. I recognize that. I have such a strong team, such enthusiasm all around me, but I still need money. I need volunteers. I need people to get on my Facebook page, Kathy Barnette for Congress, PA4, and to just flood social media with it. When we have good people, which I believe I am one of them, putting our necks out there. We know Democrats don't play fair. I don't have any skeletons in my closet that are going to fall out. However, we know when we look at Brett Kavanaugh, it doesn't have to be true. They could just make stuff up. And I'm going to need every single American-loving citizen to treat me like your own daughter, to treat me like your sister. When people come out after me, to push back. And I think that's another thing that we've learned from President Trump is to stop buckling, cowing down, and apologizing. The conservative side of this nation, we have the answers that can take a little black girl from a pig farm and have her running for Congress, of all things. Go figure. And because of those particular policies that I began to read, learn, and begin to implement in my own life. And I hope, again, people will go to Kathy Barnette for Congress and support me and encourage my team.
Well, I certainly will after the show's over. I appreciate it. I just have to ask you a question, one last question. When you become the congressional representative for the 4th District of Pennsylvania, you're going to come back on the show, right?
Most definitely.
Right.
Listen, I have always said, I get it. When you get into these higher levels of government, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it's addictive, I'm sure. And I've always said we're going to need good people to surround these legislatures that will yank their chain and hold their feet to the fire. And that is exactly what I have around me. Good people who don't mind telling me the way that it is and who will keep me honest, because my desire is just to make America great, to keep us great, to think about us first and foremost with every decision that we make. That is my earnest desire.
All right.
And that's why I'm doing this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, KathyBarnettForCongress.com, KathyBurnett.com, Facebook.com/Kathy Barnette Congress PA04, and Twitter Kathy for Truth. That's KATHY. Thank you so much for coming on the program, ma'am.
Thank you, Hutch. Thank you, Jack, for having me.
You're uplifting. How uplifting.
That's right. God bless you. Thank you.
Blessing.
Looking for an alternative place to find news and opinion? How about conversing with fellow patriots? Join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Cold War Radio. You will find it at www.Spreaker.com or in the Spreaker app. Search for Cold War Radio and you will find it. Since I've been listening, I have met some terrific patriots and learned quite a lot about current events that the mainstream media will never tell you. Please come and join us. Be inspired. You will feel right at home in our Spreaker chat room.
Wow, man, we've got a good bench. Jack, we've got a great bench. Rico, I should have left you on there, but we went over, man. We were like 10 minutes over. She was very gracious.
Right there, that's despite all of this stuff and the sourness, and we recognize all of these the bad things. You look at this, and she's like a breath of fresh air, uplifting, ready to get into the fight to go against the dean. And the
angry lady.
Angry. Oh,
and let me just say, Rico, man, that was the perfect guest call. I mean, it could have been a little bit longer, but not much. That was the perfect guest call. So if you want to call when there's a guest on, that's the way to do it. Because I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just a little inside baseball stuff. That was supposed to be a 20-minute interview, and it lasted 32 minutes. All right, so we went over, and I couldn't stop myself. It was just too good of a vibe. I didn't want to give it up, and I always want people to call and interact. Now, the best thing to do would be call, most interviews are 20 minutes, so look at the clock. And, 20 till is a good time to call. You start getting up toward the top of the hour, and then I got to kind of rush things, and I don't want to do that. But anyway, great deal, man. Kathy Barnette. I'm going to support her. I meant that. I haven't supported anybody yet, but I'm going to. Let's bring Rico back on. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. The reason why I was so short is because I think she needed to be heard.
My man.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to do anything silly. I just want to make sure that people understood I am seeing something magnificent in that woman.
I think so, too. I agree 100%. Yeah. Plus, she was in the Army.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Corporate America, I mean, whew. And I got to tell you, we looked at the demographics of the district, and it's mostly white, man. So
it's a newly created district.
She's
Madeline Dean, she's the first one in that district. So it's still fresh.
Shine, man. She's got a shot.
Absolutely, and that's something that is good. We're not looking for skin color. Who gives a damn about melatonin or whatever it's called?
No, we don't.
We're beyond that. And you look, she's talking about the America, the founding, the
absolutely
what President Trump's accomplished and what he could further move the country if he had a supportive Congress, House, and Senate, which he doesn't have. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. She's reflecting optimism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her opponent
I couldn't believe it.
is
can
attacking Trump.
Can you guys imagine being a Democrat congressman or senator? Well, I guess a congressman covers both houses. If you could imagine being a Democrat and not being allowed to clap at the demise of, what's his name? The guy, Soleimani. Or not to clap when there's a 100-year-old Tuskegee airman that was just promoted to general whose grandson wants to be in the Space Force. Or a young lady that got a scholarship from the president, who now I hear that Betsy DeVos is going to pay for that scholarship out of her pocket. Or the Marines, the Mexican Marines chasing down border crossers. In other words, paying for the wall. All these different things. 7 million people coming off of food stamps, and they don't applaud. It's insane to me. I don't see how. It is. It is. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to jump forward, and I'm going to play a clip right now. And this is from Arizona. I'm not sure. I couldn't find the university in the entire article. But it's a college student in Arizona who comes upon, let me see if I can find this here. College student loses it on Students for Trump advocates. Students for Trump were there, and they had a table. And this guy comes out. I want you to listen to him. And I apologize for the foul language, but you cannot record these leftist, communist, fatherless kids. This guy could not have a father. Because if my son ever sounded as bizarre as this, I'd stretch his vocal cords out or something to make his voice deeper. But I want you to listen to this guy. This is a college student who got triggered because there's a Students for Trump table on his campus somewhere. I warned you about the foul language. Listen to this. This is what we're up against.
Out square! Slash his throat! Every fucking Republican! Suck my fucking balls!
Say that one more time.
Slash Republican throats! Slash fascist throats! Get the fascist!
Have a good one.
He's not happy, man. He's one more time.
Out square! Slash his throat! Every fucking Republican! Suck my fucking balls!
Say that one more time.
Slash Republican throats! Slash fascist throats! Get the fascist!
Have a good one.
They're losing their minds, Rico. These are our children.
They think they have the absolute right to be triggered. They're looking for things like that so they can do that.
I mean,
He's just a bunch of little babies.
He's got to be failing a class or something, or his boyfriend maybe ditched him.
Is he related to that woman that
maybe.
during the Capitol? No.
They're everywhere. They're all over the place. There's not like huge groups of them, but they're everywhere. It's unbelievable. It really is. But I wanted to. Good.
Did you guys get a sense this week that things are kind of turning?
Yep, and I'm going to talk about that. I absolutely am. That's coming up.
All right.
That's coming up. Thanks for calling, brother.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Rico.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, so let's go to CNN. Oh no. Let me first give Mitch his due. I gave Mitch McConnell hell for the last several years. And I just want to tip my hat to that man for his conduct. That surprised me. It did, I'll be honest. But he handled that whole situation like an American patriot. And I know he's not an American patriot, or maybe he is, but he's got his fingers are in some cookie jars they shouldn't be in. But that being said, he could have blew this up on us, Jack. He could have really made this tougher than it was. And he didn't. He decided to do the right thing and did a great job. The second thing, I hate to bring this up because it's probably going to eat some time up, and I don't really want it to, but the Vindmans are finally gone. And I don't think that chapter is over yet. I don't. I think that Lieutenant Colonel Vindman deserves a court-martial. He did several things that are not punishable by prison under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but with a 223 slug. Several of them in his chest.
And it gets almost Hollywood surreal. It's like now, all of a sudden, you have a pair of identical twins, both Army, both Vindman from Ukraine, both serving in the National Security Council. I mean, hello.
Right.
Does that not make somebody say, what the hell is going on? We already had the Awan brothers in Congress. They're skating on that.
We have to readjust who we give the title of American to. Because, see, in the past, ladies and gentlemen, you had to swear beyond anything but God that your sovereignty is now American. And clearly, with Lieutenant Colonel Hickman speaking about his service with Major Vindman, Vindman clearly does not have the United States goals in mind. He's clearly an interloper. And I hope he gets justice. I do. I really do.
He definitely deserves it because he obviously doesn't know the chain of command,
No, exactly.
Not at all.
And the whole idea of Nancy Pelosi going to look into it with her colleagues. He's the commander-in-chief, Nancy. Shut the hell up. Go back to San Francisco. I think your time's over, by the way. I think Nancy Pelosi's done.
California, time to step up.
That's it. Or step out. Now, Joe Biden showed his classless self speaking on Rush Limbaugh.
Something that happened at the State of the Union. You were awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian honor by President Obama.
When you hear the pause, that's Joe Biden crossing himself.
And I'm wondering, it was obviously a very emotional moment for you. I remember the ceremony last night. President Trump awarded the same medal to Rush Limbaugh. I'm wondering what you thought when you learned about that.
Joe Biden crosses himself. And the seals come.
Rush Limbaugh spent his entire time on the air dividing people, belittling people, talking about blacks in ways, African Americans in ways that
Barack the Magic Negro.
I do feel badly, and I mean this sincerely, that he's suffering from a terminal illness. So he has my empathy and sympathy no matter what his background is. But the idea that he is a State of the Union receives a medal that is of the highest honor that can be given to a civilian, I find, quite frankly, driven more by trying to maintain your right-wing political credentials than it is anything else. I mean, if you read some of the things that Rush has said about people, their backgrounds, their ethnicity, how he speaks to them, I don't think he speaks, I don't think he understands the American code of decency and honor. I just really, but look, this is Donald Trump.
How did Donald Trump get in that? But anyway, because he brought him there. One of the best guys around, Rush Limbaugh, wow. Let's listen to Joe Biden's boss when he was speaking about President Trump's ability to affect the economy.
May have noticed following this election, Donald Trump came to Indiana and talked a lot about what happened with the Carrier Corporation and shipping their jobs out of state. Here's someone who worked for Carrier, and he has a question for you.
How you doing, Mr. President?
How are you?
My name is Eric Cottenham, and I'm representing the Steelworkers Union, Local 1999, and I'm trying to find out what do we have left for as all of our jobs are leaving Indianapolis, right? And I see here you're doing a lot of things, but in Indianapolis, there's nothing there for us. I mean, what's next? I mean, what can we look forward to in the future as far as jobs, employment, whatever, because all of our jobs is left or in the process of leaving, sir.
Well, in fact, we've seen more manufacturing jobs created since I've been president than any time since the 1990s. That's a fact. And if you look at just the auto industry as an example, they've had record sales and they've hired back more people.
Nobody challenged
them. Over the last 5 years than they had for a very long time.
Long time.
We actually make more stuff.
Much more
have
stuff.
A bigger manufacturing base today than
well, he thinks he's talking to
most
stupid
of our
people.
history.
Stupid
the problems have been part of the problems have had to do with jobs going overseas.
Oh.
And this is one of the reasons why I've been trying to negotiate trade deals to raise wages and environmental standards in other countries.
In
so
other
that they're not
countries.
undercutting us. But frankly, part of it's had to do with automation. You go into an auto factory today that used to have 10,000 people, and now they've got 1,000 people making the same number of cars or more.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is even though we're making the same amount of stuff in our manufacturing sector, we're employing fewer people. Now, the good news is that there are entire new industries that are starting to pop up. And you're actually seeing some manufacturers coming back to the United States because they're starting to realize, you know what, energy prices are lower here, workers are better here, this is our biggest market. And so even though we offshored and went someplace else before, now it turns out we're better off going ahead and manufacturing here.
No, bro, that didn't
AmeriCorps.
AmeriCorps, right? For those folks who've lost their job right now because a plant went down to Mexico, that isn't going to make you feel better. And so what we have to do is to make sure that folks are trained for the jobs that are coming in now, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise
Donald
for,
J. Trump,
that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer. So what I've tried to do, what my administration's tried to do is...
Ali Apprentice. Now, Corolla, why did your team lose? Now, hold on a second. And by the way...
Interrupt this program for Obama to say something.
My fellow Americans, I'd like to announce that I'm running for President of America as a black man this time.
I did some time in jail. I did some crime with Michelle. We stole some fried watermelon. Yippee-pity-ki-yay. I'm known to smack up a bitch. I got Kool-Aid in the fridge. I never met my kids. Their real dad is Kanye. Guns, yeah, sold them. Hoes, tricks, yeah, told them. Blood splits, yeah, rolled them. Grinding out to homegrown baby. Hey, I just met you, so please don't tase me. My name's Obama. Was born in Haiti. I still get food stamps. I'm just lazy. I'm still on welfare. So fuck you, baby. They might arrest you, but you could blame me. They'll pull me over, incarcerate me. If I get unemployed, shit don't faze me. My name's Obama. I'll roll with Jay-Z. Jeezer, are you young?
Ladies and gentlemen, your weekly Jihad Report. 31 jihad attacks, 249 killed, 86 injured, 2 Allahu Akbars, all occurring in 11 countries. The religion of peace atrocity of the week. Supporters of Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr have been accused of carrying out massacres following the killing of anti-government demonstrators and the torching of protest camps in cities across southern Iraq. Sadr supporters, nicknamed Blue Caps after their signature item of clothing, opened fire on a protest area in the holy city of Karbala. I hate that holy thing. In the slum city of Karbala on Thursday. Medical sources in the Karbala Health Directorate said that the incident left more than 10 dead. The incident follows a similar attack in the city of Najaf on Wednesday evening. Other recent misunderstandings of Islam. On the 6th in the Maldives, 3 tourists are stabbed by Islamic State sympathizers. On the 5th in Yemen, a 7-year-old child is disassembled by an Ansar Allah missile. On the 5th in Nigeria, a man and women are shot to death when Boko Haram invade a peaceful family community. On the 5th in Iraq, 8 protesters are burned and shot to death when set on by Shiite radicals. On the 4th in Cameroon, jihadists burn down a village and murder 2 residents. And finally, on the 3rd in Afghanistan, a cleric is assassinated by religion of peace rivals. The religion of peace, ladies and gentlemen, or the religion of pieces, or as Mr. J used to say, the religion of loopholes. One body at a time.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
It never ends. Every week there is a weekly jihad report. Let's go to Eugene, Oregon, and get Marlene's report.
Oh, hi, Hutch.
Hello.
Hello, Jack. Oh, gosh. I guess, first of all, I wanted to say that interview with Kathy was absolutely fantastical.
Thank you. I think
She
so,
was
too.
such a refreshing voice. She really was.
I wasn't
And I hope,
expecting
like,
it either. I wasn't expecting it.
No,
I got the paperwork, and it was all about the book. Then it was all about, an author, and then I started reading through the script that Mona sent me, and it was like, wow, she's running for Congress. This is cool. And Pennsylvania, it's even cooler. Yeah, that was a good one.
That's
You're right.
way cool.
You're right.
And, hey, update on life out in Oregon here. Our wonderful legislature, they're looking at House Bill 4005, which would require that when a gun is not being carried, it is secured with either a trigger or cable lock or in a locked container. And if a gun is not stored in the manner described and later stolen and used to injure a person or property within 2 years, the gun owner is liable for that injury.
You know,
I mean,
that whole thing.
right. Just do that, and you're on.
Let me tell you what they've done
do that
already.
and-
What they've done already. I think the last probably 10 handguns I bought, maybe five, all came with trigger locks, but they weren't the trigger locks that you put inside the trigger housing. They were these long wire cable, like a padlock, but the barrel is a wire. It's a cable. It's not a solid bar. And of course, I have, let's see, I have 0 locks put in my pistols. But I got a hook in my shop that has like all these, those locks are good for other stuff. You know what I mean? So they're making Ruger and everybody pay this extra money to buy these things that anybody with half a brain is not going to use.
Exactly.
Because let me tell you something. If you got something in storage, then why lock it up? It's already locked up. But if you have something that you need to be, but I have several firearms strategically tactically located throughout my abode, and none of them has a lock on it, because if I need it, why have it if it has a lock on it? Because you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to have time. You know what I mean? If you have a handgun, it's like Sean Hannity kills me, man. He gets on the air and he's like, I am such a responsible gun owner. All my guns are in safes. And I'm like, good luck with that when the dude kicks your door down at 3 a.m. You know,
those are like the semis pistols. You have that the thing locked back and the cable comes through the open hole. It's like it's not cool.
Not at all.
No, it's not.
It's nuts. It's nuts. You're either capable of owning a firearm or you're not. And you can have kids. You can teach your kids now. I've had a lot of kids through here, and they all know. Lord have mercy, don't go near anything that you're not supposed to go in Peepaw's house, because they'll knock you the hell out. Right. Plus, they all know how to use weapons anyway. You know, but that's just me and millions of others.
Right.
Not just me.
And, also, they did have the rally yesterday up in Salem. And I guess there were some people from Eugene that went up there, too, but to protest the cap and trade nonsense. I was pretty happy about that. Very happy.
Did you go up there? Or?
I wish I could, Hutch. I work. I'd love to.
Oh, no, I was just
asking.
Did they bring...
No, I understand.
Did they bring the equipment up?
Yes.
Oh, talk about
it. They did.
Tell the audience what they bring.
They bring up, I don't have the article in front of me, but they bring up their truck. A lot of it was log trucks. They bring up their big semi trucks.
Oh yeah, so they're hitting the air horns and everything.
All their other equipment, and they go up there and they just give the people up in Salem hell in a very peaceful manner.
I've seen that before with farm workers. I think it was in Oregon too. It was pretty
that
impressive.
Could have very well been.
Pretty impressive. Oh, yeah. Pretty impressive. So what did you think about the State of the Union address and the address by the president the next day?
I did. The State of the Union was wonderful.
It was.
I kind of went over my joyfulness in Wednesday, but I just loved it. It was great. And I did listen to about half of his remarks. I was at work, of course, when he was speaking, but I listened to about the first half of it. And he was really he was right on, giving credit where it should have been done. And I was still shocked as hell that he said something nice about Mitch, because I have real mixed feelings about him. He may have done something right, but I'm still going, I don't know about that guy.
Well, you're gonna thank Mitch years after he's gone with the absolute stellar manner in which he has repaired the federal judiciary. Because that's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean, I think we're getting close to 200, Jack.
I think he said, what was it, 190 something, I think?
Yeah.
91, 92, something like that, I think.
And Mitch did it like right after one of those things closed in the Senate. I mean, it was like, it happened the last couple of days.
Right.
Very impressive. And I'm still very leery about the guy, but he did good lately.
Yeah. I want to give him credit where it's due, but like you, I'm a little leery about him also.
Oh, any
I
Republican
am.
that's been in that long, sure.
Oh, no kidding.
Especially married to a Chinese lady. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm just
That's
saying.
not, China, that's a whole other stuff. Don't get me started about China. That's for another show.
Yeah, the Secretary of Transportation, whose
Elizabeth
family is very influential in China. So
Exactly.
there's a lot of money flowing. I mean, and the thing that always gets me with Elaine Chao and Cocaine Mitch is that one time they were eating dinner and they were basically accosted and being run out of the establishment.
Elaine's the boss, boys. She went all Bruce Lee on that dude, didn't
she did Jackie Chan and defended, and Mitch ran for cover into
Yeah,
the
he
car.
did.
It's like,
What a-
who's got the pants?
That was something. All right, I'm going to leave you on, Marlene. I'm going to play a clip.
Okay.
And I think that because
Okay.
the rest of the show is going to be dedicated toward our rebirth in the GOP. Let's listen to the moment that Trump crushed the Democrat socialists.
We are supporting the hopes of Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to restore democracy. The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Maduro is an illegitimate ruler, a tyrant who brutalizes his people. But Maduro's grip on tyranny will be smashed and broken. Here this evening is a very brave man who carries with him the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of all Venezuelans. Joining us in the gallery is the true and legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to you. Thank you, Mr. President. Great honor. Thank you very much. Please take this message back that all Americans are united with the Venezuelan people in their righteous struggle for freedom. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
That's it, Marlene. The socialist, I mean, he even had Nancy Pelosi clapped at that one.
Yeah, I thought that was a very moving moment, too. It really was. That was great.
That was outstanding. All right.
Oh, very.
I want to thank you for calling, and we're going to move on here.
You're welcome, my friend.
Several other things to cover.
I know.
Thanks. Marlene from
I got you.
Eugene,
Thanks,
Oregon.
Marlene.
All right. So let's listen to CNN's analysis, official analysis. And this is after we watched Nancy Pelosi melt down. And upon further review, I don't think she committed any crime by tearing that up. I guess that's a ceremonial copy. It's not an official document as far as there's not another copy of it or whatever. But that being said, let's listen to CNN because they have gone to the psychiatric world to bring a world-renowned specialist to diagnose our president.
Harwood, you cover him day in, day out. What struck you?
Look, this was a very disturbing tableau for the country. It was dark because he's made clear that his mind is dark. This is somebody in deep psychological distress right now, self-pitying, insecure, angry. He said almost plaintively at the end when he was reading a text from Strzok to Page, where he said, I'm not a bad person. he was sort of imploring people to accept that view of him. When Caitlin and Alexei said he thinks I did nothing wrong, that sentence stops with the word I.
He didn't do
because
anything wrong.
With Donald Trump, if he did it, it's not wrong. He doesn't recognize abstract
This guy's a
concepts
genius,
like right
isn't
and
he?
wrong, like morality or immorality, like true or
Orange.
false.
Man.
He recognizes what is good for him in the moment. And what has happened, what Mitt Romney has done by casting that vote, what Pelosi has done, has felt very, very unpleasant to him. He said impeachment's a very ugly word. And by going after Romney, the other part of it that is, I think,
Going
striking
after
is
Romney?
the entire Republican Party reduced to sitting there applauding this rambling, disordered set of remarks. And one of the reasons why it is an uncomfortable moment for them is that Mitt Romney, when he gave that speech, said, I've looked at the facts. I've come to the conclusion I can't avoid this. He stripped naked the rationalizations that they have used for their votes. Remember, they started out saying
Mitt
once
Romney
the
and Mike
whistleblower
Lee
broke. They started out saying, well, obviously it would be terrible if it was a quid pro quo, but there's no evidence of a quid pro quo. Now, when we got to the end of the process, Ted Cruz told the White House lawyers, well, we all know there was a quid pro quo. And what they're saying is, yes, there was a quid pro quo. They proved that case, but it's not that big a deal. They were starting from the end point of protecting this president, and Romney has showed that the calculations behind that are pretty hollow.
But with Biden, it's all unfounded, right?
Romney is the savior of the Democrat Party.
Hey, screw Romney.
Flashback to 2012.
Screw Romney, screw Utah, and screw Mike Mumbai Lee.
Utah
you can
screws itself every election cycle.
All right, that was CNN, NBC.
President Trump savoring the triumph, his acquittal in the Senate trial of his impeachment. He spoke for more than an hour, a lengthy diatribe. Revisiting long-held grievances and responding directly to his acquittal, but also other grievances that he holds against Democrats and media and even members of the FBI.
For half of America, that's going to feel like a dystopian speech of some sort of bizarro world speech. He's not over this, and he clearly is going to be looking for some sort of revenge or vengeance. He seems to be in that mode. He was really flexing his cult of personality muscle, right? This is a Republican Party that is no longer organized around ideas. It is organized around a person, pure and simple.
That's it. That's all
Aired
it is.
a series of grievances, almost a greatest hits of grievances at this point.
This had to be exceedingly difficult for Democrats to watch as the president
Indeed.
really celebrated
Talk
a sense
about
of,
a cult.
of triumph.
There is a tolerance level at some point with the middle of this country that's going to crack on this stuff. And the question is when.
Don't you love the caricature that NBC brings out of a black guy? I mean, what was that? Bryant Gumbel and this guy, I forget, I don't even know his name. But you look at him, it's like, I've never seen a black guy that looks like that in my life. I just never have. I don't even know his name, but he's out there on NBC. But all right, so let's go from that. And I told you Rico came up with a feeling that I have as well. And it started right there in that celebration. He came out and he said, look, this isn't really a press conference. This is just a celebration. And he named all of the warriors that were there for him. Right. And he basically restarted the Republican Party. I said at the beginning of the show that the Democrats, and if you look at history, the Democrat Party is very similar to Germany in the 1930s.
Now.
Yeah.
What the Democrat Party is right now is very similar.
Yeah. You've got different factions that they can't get along together, but they're temporarily together. And this is the way the Democrat Party's been for the last 50 years. It's just been waiting for this time. It's been waiting for American adults to wake the hell up. And they're starting to do that. And we used to, for the last 40 years, we used to rely on the feckless, fake Republican Party. And I can tell you this from experience, and I know the age group of most of my listeners, and I know a lot of you can remember all this. You all supported Bob Dole and John McCain and Romney and Paul Ryan and all these scumbags. We all
Funneled
did
down the same road, left, right, didn't matter. You were headed to where,
So, but right now, I want to take this to a very trusted source, Sundance at the Conservative Treehouse, and those of you that have listened for a long time know that I, have great respect for this man. The article is entitled "MAGA Moves: Jim Jordan moved to top position on House Judiciary Committee. Mark Meadows moved to House Oversight." These moves highlight how President Donald Trump and the priorities he has put into the GOP are now leading the Republican Party. The president is correct. The Republican Party has never been more united. Most of the GOP ranks in the House have been removed, and the strategic conservative nationalist movement is now in place. House Judiciary Committee ranking member Doug Collins is running for a Georgia Senate seat. Within the Republican House rules, he must leave his ranking position on the committee. Today, the House Steering Committee overwhelmingly picked Representative Jim Jordan to take over as the top-ranking member on the Judiciary Committee to replace Doug Collins. Mark Meadows will take over the Republican leadership of the House Oversight Committee for the remainder of the year, replacing Jim Jordan. This is a smart move, as Jordan will be in position to counter the efforts of Judiciary Chairman Jerry Giles Nadler. Additionally, and in anticipation of the Republican retaking of the House in November, this move is a unifying effort by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to ascend the MAGA coalition into more influence. Kevin McCarthy wants to be Speaker if Republicans can retake the House. Jim Jordan was a founder of the House Freedom Caucus and was adverse to the GOP leadership interests of Speaker and traitor, and boy, what a jagoff, Paul Ryan, and leader Kevin McCarthy. However, McCarthy recognizes that the new Republican Party is the party of President Trump and the blue-collar coalition. His support for Jim Jordan is reflective of the Trump movement now leading the party. From Washington, D.C., during a closed-door meeting on Thursday, the GOP steering committee overwhelmingly selected Jordan, Republican Ohio, to be the top Republican on the panel, according to multiple sources with knowledge of the internal vote. Jordan will replace Representative Doug Collins, who recently announced a Georgia Senate bid and is required to step down from the top post under GOP conference rules. The full Republican conference still needs to approve Jordan and Meadows for the post, but usually backs the recommendations from the steering committee, which includes the top members of GOP leadership, including Jordan's former rival, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, whose vote carries the most weight. Collins is not expected to step down immediately, and leadership has indicated that they would give him a month-long period to transition his staff. Before the steering committee voted on Thursday, Jordan and Meadows, who are fresh off assisting with Trump's impeachment defense, made a pitch to their colleagues on the panels. No other candidates ran for the jobs, however, essentially ensuring they were locks for the positions. Meadows is retiring, however, so the GOP will have to find another leader for the panel later this year. We're almost done with the purge, Jack. We're almost done. We thought it was a bad thing when it happened back in 2016 and 2018 and now in 2020. But God bless America, man. I'm glad it happened. Especially with people like Kathy Barnette stepping up to the plate in Philadelphia, outside Philadelphia.
We need the MAGA candidates to get in as far as the Congress side, and we've just seen the exposure of the swamp unelected bureaucrat level people that is sinewed in throughout the military, government, boom, unelected people that think that they are ruling it. All the diplomats over there in the Ukraine and the foreign policy deal acting like they were doing policy of the United States. No. The president does foreign policy.
And I gotta say this too. Those of you in the military, you better pay attention to what's going on. I'm talking about general and flag level officers. You better pay attention because you're going to go too. This bullshit is going to stop, and it's going to stop now. There was some good news, Jack, that came out of the Defense Department today. All the soldiers all the military members that we heard that were dispatched over the Iranian missile deal and all that are all coming home, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. A temporary. You use these soldiers in a temporary manner, not permanent.
Yeah, and I'm kind of liking the way that President Trump's been attacking the head of the snake.
Sure.
On everything. They got rid of the caliphate in Syria. ISIS is gone. Boom. But next thing you know, you got all the factions of Al-Qaeda. And next thing you know, President Trump's like, that guy's gone. This guy's gone. This guy's gone in Yemen.
They took
like
another
every
guy out
leader
yesterday.
that pops up.
That's right.
Eventually, you're going to have nobody that said, no, I'm going home.
Right.
I don't
Put
want to
him
be the
underground.
lead. Yeah.
That's right. Put them underground, and all this subversion. And here's another thing. Here's something. When you listen to the media, get out there. These idiots expect us. Forget President Trump. Their target is us. They expect us to just be nice now. No, media, let me tell you something. I'm not going to be happy behind this mic until Jake Tapper and before his boss is in prison. These people are not acting as media. They're acting as propagandists. And they're lying to the American people. How many thousands of times do we have to prove it? I'm not going to be happy until James Clapper dies in prison. And John Brennan the same way. And really, in all reality, they should be executed.
The first 4 years of Trump in office has devastated how close the powers that be, the one world order, had the United States right ready in their hands to just suck them into this deal. And Trump said, no, TPP gone, Paris Agreement, F you, boom.
Jack, I said something on Wednesday. I want to get your reaction to it.
Uh-huh.
I said something on Wednesday. I had an epiphany, man. It was right after Romney voted to convict President Trump. After the totally clean as the wind-driven snow, a totally spiritual Mormon with a perfect family with 5 sons that never were in the military.
Vulture capitalist.
After he voted to convict President Trump, I'm thinking, do you guys realize how close this whole audience, was to electing Mitt Romney, president. John McCain, president. Paul Ryan, vice president. Think about that. Think about that. That's terrifying.
Right. And you're talking Republican. So
I screamed on this microphone, we got to do it. We got to bring these guys, got to be the ones. And I feel so embarrassed for taking that stand. But
you learn. Everyone's
learned.
All the people have learned. If you paid attention and looked at what you've been sold from either side, I mean, there's a lot of Democrats that have been sold a bill of goods that are now.
Say it again.
I have no party.
What did we do? We learned. We learned. Say it again. We learned, right?
We learned, and that's
Bell ripped a double to the notch. And this one soars out of here. Wow! It leaves the ballpark on the fly. Hello, Allegheny. Josh Bell with the homer. One of the loudest home runs you'll ever see.
Josh Bell, Pittsburgh Pirates, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, you're so right, man. I mean, that's what it is. And I think that we have made major inroads, not total inroads, but major inroads in fixing this raggedy-ass Republican Party. And that's what I have been saying for the last several years. And I know I've been like the Debbie Downer because I told you the truth about Trey Gowdy and about congressional hearings and about the big club and everything else. But I think one of the things that you can take away from all of this is Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, I hope you don't prove me an asshole for saying this. But I think if you take the paradigm, if you take the setup of Paul Ryan, and because don't forget, Kevin McCarthy was Paul Ryan's number one guy. He was his wingman. But between the two of those, they each chose different paths. And I think Kevin McCarthy figured it out first. He read the tea leaves.
I hope he figured it.
If he didn't, we'll find out, and we'll deal with his ass too.
He comes from California.
I know. But California is where the entire impeachment circle lives. That's where Schiff's from.
Right.
That's where Swalwell's from. I mean, Pelosi. Yeah.
Feinstein.
It goes on and on.
Hello. I mean, Darrell Issa. I mean, I remember him back. He hasn't been around because he was out. But the last time I looked, I think he's trying to get back in.
He is. And I don't have any time for him. He played together.
Hopefully, a lot of America's like me, and it's like we don't want the same old folks. We don't want people. You don't want Pelosi
we
up
want
there.
Kathy Barnette. We want Kathy Barnette.
Yes,
that's
you want
who we
Kathy
want.
Barnette.
That's right.
There. New, fresh faces. Get rid of the denture dropping.
We want Cold War Radio to be at the Republican National. You know what? We should go to the Democrat National Convention.
I don't know. After the Iowa results thing, they can't even.
I'm not going nowhere near that. I'm not going nowhere near Milwaukee. The communists have already said they're going to burn the place down. You know what I mean? I'm not going anywhere near that.
They're going to burn it down.
I don't like Wisconsin anyway. I mean, it's hard to get an airport in there.
Yeah, if that happens, you know who they're going to blame it on?
Oh, Trump did it.
Yeah,
he did Iowa. It was all about him in Iowa. Let's go to
the Russians too.
Let's go to winners and losers. Jack, your winners and losers for the week.
My winner, low-hanging fruit, is the president, Donald Trump, number 45, State of the Union address. One of the best, if not the best, State of the Union addresses I've seen in my lifetime.
Best one.
And then to follow that up the next day with acquittal, and to follow that up with Trump basically unleashing on the evil that's been put upon him, he's the winner in my book. Loser, easy again. Democrats, Nancy Pelosi mumbling to herself during the State of the Union, pre-ripping pages so she could make a statement. And then coming out, I think it was today, earlier, and it was almost, you listen to her today responding to questions of her tearing up the State of the Union, and if you were playing a video game, that was the point where she was going to just turn into the evilest boss that you had to fight to win the game. I mean, it was this
and even brought her daughter out. I mean, her daughter came out, who's been out there previously, telling you that she can cut
a lot of money off of her mama.
Yeah, she could cut your throat. You don't even know you're cut. Let's go to Sean in California. A quick one at the end. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Hutch and everybody?
Hey,
I just wanted to say, if we're going to winners and losers already, my bad. I thought I called in at the right time.
You got a clock, right?
No, I don't got a clock.
Well, that's problem number one, but go ahead, brother.
Well, real quick, my winners and losers at this point. Winner, President Donald J. Trump. Loser, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat Party in California.
Ding, ding, ding.
Pretty simple, man. Pretty simple. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just hoping to God we can turn California around this election, but I don't know. With all this illegal aliens that are here and all the middle class that we're bolstering at one point in California that have left now, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I'm hoping, though. I mean, we got some promising-looking Republicans out here that are grassroots and are starting to make some inroads, like the one you just interviewed. That was pretty awesome, by the way. Great interview.
Thank you. Let me give you some advice. Being a 50-year-old guy, nothing ever changes in one election. You have to look long term. You have to. If you listen, and I know you've listened to this show, and you've heard me lamenting about the Republican Party. But now, tonight, I got to come out and actually say I think we might be close to recovering the Republican Party. It's not done yet. We have a lot of work to do. There's a good article in the American Think about this is the deep breath before the plunge. All right, it's real easy for all of us to come out here and say, all right, we're winning. Let's take a break. Let's go get a piece of watermelon, fried watermelon if you're with the Obama song. But, and try to relax a little bit. This is not the time to relax at all. At all. This is the time to gird your loins, so to speak, and prepare for battle. Because they're going to come back. They know they're losing. They know that they are almost obsolete. Because one of the things about the Democrat Party, and one of the things that has kept me on the air as long as I've been on the air, which is a long time, since 2006, is that I've always known that we have the truth behind us. They don't. Their entire house of cards is exactly that, a house of cards. It's a cobbled together coalition of miscreants and of dependents and parasites and victims. You can't win being a victim, Sean. You can't do it. You can do it for a while, but you can't do it for long. It's not sustainable, to use their words. But the truth is always the truth. And we've got the truth on our side, brother, and I got to let you go because I'm out of time.
All right, peace out, guys.
Yep, thanks for calling. Sean. My winners and losers, ladies and gentlemen, my winner is conservative, populist Americans. We finally are putting together a political team that reflects our values. Meadows, Jacobs, Gohmert, and I'm missing a lot of people. Stefanik.
Nunes.
The guy that's retiring. I can never remember his name. Not retiring.
Scalise?
No, going for Scalise too, but going for the Senate seat in Georgia.
Collins.
Collins. Yeah. I mean, warriors, one and all. And now the president is smart enough. He's maneuvering to get these people in leadership. And once they're in leadership in the House, you stupid son of a guns think we're going to go out without a fight? No. You son of a bitches are all going to prison, and that's going to be what happens in the next 2 years. And when Donald Trump gets elected president and we take the House back, the media is going to self-emulate because we might put some of them in prison too. If that doesn't happen, then I'm out. Then I'm backing out. It's all bets are off. If nobody goes to jail over this, then I'm out. I'm no longer supporting any of this shit.
Yep. I mean, look.
If we don't fix this, our republic is lost, Jack.
The one single thing that I would look at that's easy to know is how does Comey, FBI director, leak to his buddy, college professor, the information that triggers the Mueller investigation?
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the IRS, every single agency in the federal government committed treason. And if the people in those agencies are not strung up, then our country's a joke. Our government's a joke. Our country's never a joke. But our government is a freaking joke.
Well, you already had Fast and Furious, right?
I heard today that Durham never interviewed Carter Page. I'm losing faith in that part of the equation, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. My loser of the week, by the way, is the establishment on both sides of the aisle. The Republican and Democrat establishment have done more damage to this republic than any foreign entity ever did. And they must pay. They must pay. And some of them are going to pay just by getting elected out of office. But some of the more egregious offenders must face pain. And I really, really mean that. Jack, great show, man. Final thoughts, and there you go.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Great guest. Pennsylvania 4. Old Kathy Barnette.
Get out there and donate, ladies and gentlemen, if you can. I know a lot of you can't. Christ, I'm asking you to donate to me, donate to Hair. I hate doing this. But there is a place that's worthy. I'm getting off the radio. I'm going to send her some money. Just because, man, I'm like, that's right next to Philadelphia. Damn, this could be a thing, you know? Anyway, sorry about CPAC, ladies and gentlemen. We'll let you know what Mona and Stacy say. Hopefully we can get something out of it. As I said before, it's in the bank. We'll be back on this weekend. If you're not a Cold War Radio patron, go to steelcityresistance.com. And the right-hand column, you can become a Cold War Radio patron, and then you can listen to Bird's Eye View tomorrow night, Steel City Resistance TV the night after, and we'll be back on Monday with Ward Miller and I. Thanks for letting us into your life for an hour late. Man, my voice is starting to fail. What's going on with that? Anyway, thank you, Jack. Great show. Thank you to Kathy Barnette and Mona for providing that. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. God bless. I always do that. Go to rsbn.bandcamp.com and support Jacob Seals, a fine conservative musician